In this video, we will show you how to replace your rear shoes and brake drums on this 2009 Dodge Dakota. This is located behind your rear wheel. Let's get started. Continue on to removing all 5 of our 22mm lug nuts and then the wheel. To remove the brake drum, it's a good idea to use some penetrant along each of the studs and the center hub of the axle. Now you can start removing the brake drum. Give it a wiggle. If it's stuck to the axle, continue on into each of these ports. You can use an 8x125 bolt. We'll start this in by hand directly into the drum. As you screw this into the drum, it'll start pressing against the axle and pull the drum away. Once it's broken free, take hold of it and remove it from the vehicle. The next thing you will want to do is clean down the area where we're going to be working. You'll find that you have a lot of brake dust. It's a good idea not to use compressed air. Alright, let's start taking apart our rear brakes. It's a good idea to pay attention to exactly where everything was and the orientation of it as you remove it. Let's start by grabbing onto this spring right here. We'll pull it down and pull it out of the hole in the rear shoe. You'll notice sometimes when you take this apart, the adjuster arm will come off with it. That's okay, we'll separate this and set this aside. Make your way to the lower spring. Once again, grab it, pull it out of place, and remove it. Make your way to the adjuster. We're going to de-adjust this by bringing the cog all the way towards the forward end. You can use a pry bar, screwdriver, or some pliers. Once you've de-adjusted that as far as possible, we'll continue on to this forward upper spring. Remove it from the rear brake shoe. Now let's move along to each of our anchor pins. For these, you'll find that you have a metallic clip that you can squeeze in towards the shoe, twist that pin, and pull it out from the back of the backing plate. Use some pliers. Squeeze this in, grab that pin from the back side, give it a twist, pull it out. We'll do the same for the other anchor pin. Now we'll pay attention down along the bottom where the shoes connect to the backing plate area. Take hold of each shoe and pull it away from the backing. Now you can bring this in. We'll do the same to the other one. As we've done that, you'll notice that you lost tension from this upper spring. Now we can go ahead and take that off of there. Once you have that spring off of there, you can start removing the brake shoes from the area. Remove that rearward spring. At this point, we'll continue on to removing the adjuster with the emergency brake actuator. For this, we'll go ahead and take hold of it. If you were to look along the backside, you'll see where the cable goes into it. Now we can pull this out of the backing plate, being careful not to damage the boot. Now we'll take this apart, just give it a little wiggle to separate them. For the adjuster itself, it's a good idea to take it apart, unscrew the adjuster cog, and clean the threads on this. Once you do, go ahead and lubricate it with a little bit of grease and put it back together. After you've done that, you're going to also want to make sure that the e-brake lever functions properly. It's common for them to get rusted in the hinge point here and not be able to function. If that's the case, make sure you clean this up and lubricate it as well. Now that I have my adjuster threads cleaned, I'll apply some copper anti-seize. We'll continue on to the center tab. You'll notice on this you have an area that protrudes out. We want that facing away from the cog. Now we can install the rear half here. We'll slide this all the way down, aligning the tab with one of the slots. Once you have the actuator freed up, slide it through the backing plate. While it's back there, reattach your e-brake cable. Now we can attach the adjuster to the actuator. Slide this right on through here, line it up, slide it in as far as you can. Take some high temperature caliper lubricant and lubricate all of the contact points. Looking at your brake shoes, you'll find that 2 of them in your kit came with this tab protruding out of them. The other 2 did not. You want one with the tab facing towards the front here, one without the tab towards the rear of the vehicle. Now we can prepare to put on our shoes. We'll take the rearward spring. You'll notice I have my hands on the coil and it's facing towards the rear of the vehicle. We'll slide that right along the back of the shoe and out through that slot. Now we can take this and bring it underneath our adjuster, putting the adjuster through the shoe. Take the other end of the spring and put it through this slot on the rearward shoe. Now we're going to take the shoe and put it through the emergency brake actuator. This part can take a little bit of finagling. Once you have it together, carefully slide it over the wheel cylinder. After that's in place, make your way down along the bottom mounting point. Take your lower red spring and put it into each of these lower holes. Slide it over the lower mounting area. Push the spring down underneath this. Now we can install our anchor pins, come through the back of the backing plate, and then out through the hole in the shoe. We'll take the clip. If you were looking at the pin, you can see that it has a flat blade. We'll align that, squeeze the clip in, and then twist the pin so it locks it in position. Do the same for the other anchor pin. Time for the upper forward spring. Let's take this end and slide it through the slot in the shoe. Bring it towards the rear shoe. Now we'll carefully start pulling this over to its corresponding mounting hole. Make sure that's pressed all the way into the shoe. Now we can move along to the adjuster lever. You'll notice along the top area here, there's a tab. That needs to slide up and inside of the adjuster. You also have this little piton for it to rest onto. With that in position, we'll continue on to our last spring. We'll take this and put it through from the back side of the lever and bring it all the way down to this hole in the shoe. Before we continue on, I want to talk about this area here. This is the adjustment point, and if you were to look directly behind this at the backing plate, you'll find a slot that you can easily come behind with a screwdriver or small pry bar. Once you make your way in through there, you can make the adjustment on the cog. You can bring it one direction or the other to either expand the shoes from each other or bring them in closer as needed. Move along to cleaning the mating surface on the axle where your drum will sit. You can either use a wire brush or a light sanding disc. Once this area is clean and free of any debris, continue on with some copper anti-seize. Let's clean the braking surface on our drum. Install the drum on the vehicle. Okay, the next step would be to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side of the vehicle. Once you've done that, carefully make your way into the passenger compartment and put the vehicle in neutral. That way there you can spin this as needed. We're going to continue with making an adjustment. To do this, we'll use our pry bar along the back side of the backing plate and turn that adjustment cog up or down to expand the shoes. While you're doing this, you want to be slowly trying to turn the brake drum a little bit, listening for drag. A little bit of noise is okay, but if it's hard to turn this, that means that it's too tight and you need to de-adjust. Now we can make our way to the back side and we'll install our protective cover. Okay, let's get ready to install our rear wheel. Start on all 5 of your 22mm lug nuts. Bottom them out, get the wheel safely back on the ground, and torque each wheel to 130 foot-pounds. With the wheel safely on the ground, let's torque these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay friends, we showed you how to do one side of the vehicle. The process will be the exact same thing on the other side. Aside from that, go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.